If you didn't know, ficus fruits or fig tree fruits are edible, majority of them, and this is one of those. This is a ficus nota, locally known as tibig. When they are ripe, they actually taste pretty good, similar to that of a ripe kaimito or kainito fruit, also known as the star apple fruit. So the audio got busted on this part, so I'll try to narrate whatever I was trying to say here. Basically, I was having troubles pitching up my hammock due to the size of this tree. So I was thinking that maybe I'll just use up its roots, anchor a ridge line from there, and run it through its trunk where there is a creasing point, and probably connect the flat cords with it and run it towards the other end of the hammock, which is the smaller tree. I tied a timber hitch. This is what I regularly use as my ridge line for my tarps, and to connect the flat cord, a double sheet bend, and on the other side it's the same timber hitch. So I got this Swiss volcano stove. It's a vintage camping stove, and this comes with a 1000 ml water bottle, and this sort of like a mug or a cup. You probably can also cook food with it, and it's all made out of aluminum metal. And we are going to test this one out, since we have a lot of sticks around this camp, so I will have no problem looking for firewood. And by the way, a big shout out to Dexter. He's actually the one who sold this to me, since he has lots of camping stove with him, so he's a very thoughtful guy. Actually, smaller we can get our materials into pencil size, or perhaps maybe this thin, so the better we can utilize these materials to be used as fuel for this type of stove, which is like really small. Using this bamboo, I am going to make a few shavings that will serve as our fire tinder, since it's been sunny for the past couple of days. So I think we are not going to have any problems starting our fire. And today I'm going to use a ferro rod. So there's our tinder bundle, which is all made of bamboo shavings. It's mostly the inner bark of the bamboo, and I think I've also made enough feather sticks to catch our flame, and I think there's no need to gather a few dried leaves. We can already start up with our fire. I have here my ferro rod. This is a 12mm ferrocerium rod, and I'm going to scrape it against the spine of my blade. This is one of the main advantages of having a knife that has a 90-degree spine. You can also file your knife spine if you don't have that 90 degrees on there, because by achieving that 90 degrees you will have the advantage to scrape off materials and also make shavings like this. So to strike a ferro rod, most used techniques is to have your ferro rod in a steady manner and scraping your knife like this. But also the disadvantage of that method is if you have a tinder bundle such as this and you're going to strike towards it, you have the tendency to destroy your small bundle or clump of tinder. So instead of pushing it towards the tinder, you can have your knife steady by placing your forearm against your foot, then pull on the ferrocerium rod. But I also have another method which I find the best method among all, which is simply by using a stump piece of rock like this and just simply placing your knife spine, position it like this, and scrape your ferro rod by pulling it towards you. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate it. See? and I'll just continue feeding it with this cup of feather sticks that I have prepared earlier. So by slowly feeding it with feather sticks, you have we have successfully produced enough embers that's going to settle down when everything is already burned up, and you don't want to push in too much materials for the reason that you still want air to be continuously flowing from underneath and on top of the stove. And right now we have enough ember. I can start feeding the sticks from underneath, which is it's basically designed to be fed on with fuel. While this thing is burning down, I'm going to try and boil a cup of water and probably make some coffee. And we are going to place this cup right here where it sits to the proper position by sitting on this notch from the bill. We still have a pretty good amount of ember on there, and simply by feeding it with small sticks we can probably still cook up like a rice or boil another liter of water. So all in all, I think I find this stove pretty much a good stuff to have in your pack. Did you see that bottle cap went up? Because I was thinking of transferring the heat from this stove to this bottle so it will cool down a lot faster. And yeah, remove the cap first. This place, by the way, is a not commonly used trail here in the hiking trails in Cebu, and this is a private campsite, and I have had to hike up maybe around 2 or 3 hours just to get here. And right now we are about maybe around 300 to 400 meters above sea level, and this place has 2 water sources, one from 100 meters below, and another water source like a natural spring from up there, like maybe around 200 meters more. And we've camped here before, trained few people with wilderness first aid training that we offer among outdoors people here in Cebu. And it's actually the second time I've been here ever since the island is badly hit by Cyclone Rai or Typhoon Odette. And the place is like totally been wrecked. If you hike maybe 100 meters from here, and since most of the trees that have been planted here are mangoes, they easily fall off once they're hit by super strong winds. That's why every time you hike up here in Bambag, you will see a few branches of fallen mango trees. And it's really unsafe to camp underneath mangoes at these times, perhaps because of the past typhoons that have occurred here. It probably created a few cracks in the branches, which as a result turning all of these trees into a potential widow makers. So if you're going to camp in Cebu, possibly just pick trees that are not mangoes. This tree is probably like maybe 50 to if not 100 years old. These trees have been brought or introduced here, if I'm not mistaken, during the Spanish period. Most of the trees being planted here to replace the hardwood trees that were irresponsibly been cut off. They replaced it with mangoes. That's why Philippines have been the major exporter of mangoes for the past couple of decades, particularly here in Cebu City. And on the other side of my hammock, this tree is also a cacao tree. It's already starting to fruit. So I've had my power nap, like maybe like 20 to 30 minutes, and I think I'm just going to take everything apart now, since I have to still hike down, and I'm not planning on staying for an overnight here, since we've got work to do from down there. So I guess maybe I'll just end the vlog here, and hopefully you enjoyed this episode. This, by the way, this trip is sort of like unplanned. I just took my pack and decided to hike up here, probably just to unwind and also to test out the volcano stove that I just acquired. And hopefully you guys enjoyed, or maybe possibly learned something from this episode. And stay tuned for our next video. And please, if you have not subscribed, feel free to press that subscribe button, or at least press the like or dislike button. or maybe comment down below uh, what do you think about the stove, about fire making, just any of those stuff that you have in mind that could possibly uh, create an engagement on this channel. So once again, thank you for watching. See you on the next one. So that's one of the advantages of having these knots, because no matter how much force or weight is being applied to your line, you still can easily take off everything apart and still get your ropes back. This is how I coil down my ridge line. Just a series of eights, and every time I encounter a prosik, stays on the bottom. Continue working with that 8, and there's another prosik again on the bottom, and with the remaining few centimeters left, I'm going to coil that around like this. And this ridge line is a quick deploy ridge line. Simply by pulling this working end, you can easily deploy the whole thing down.